buyer is paying 2% to his agent, the seller is paying 2% to his agent. The party didn't arrive, but they signed the contract. I will push a button and the contract A will be sent to you as the seller to sign it. Contract A and contract B is being connected all together into contract F, which we also call the MOU. Pass exams once a year. Hi, David. Great to see you again.
Welcome, Alex. It's my pleasure and honor to meet you here today. Let's discuss our next topic today.
So my proposal is let's play today. You will be an investor who is asking me questions about how to sell or how to buy property on the secondary market. So what's the contract looking like, how fast everything can happen, like in a matter of you can sell everything in 1 hour or in 1 month. Okay.
So actually that will be not just the play, it will be as close as possible, because currently we are with my investor, we are definitely engaged on this concept. We are buying, selling real estate in the Dubai real estate market. So let's be fair. I will ask you all the difficult queries about the real estate, about the secondary market transactions, and hopefully you will get the clarity about all the most difficult queries. So in order our audience to get all the perception about how the secondary market is operating and how the transactions actually happen.
Okay, yes. Let's explain the secondary market transactions, what you have to sign, when to sign, which documents you need, how long, how fast it can be done. Okay, let's start. Ask me questions.
All right, so let's start first from the general composition of the real estate transaction on the secondary market. So could you please bring the clarity, what are the steps, what the procedure, in just the several sentences, and how much time does it take, actually, to sell the properties, to get the properties in the secondary market?
Okay, let me start by explaining. Our market, it is very much controlled by the laws, by everything. So in order to be a part of the deal, to sell the property of your client, you have to be a licensed real estate broker in Dubai. So what does it mean? You get your RERA license, and we pass exams once a year. A lot of questions there. So in order to prove the government that we are eligible to be brokers, we know everything. So we have a special DLD, which is Dubai Land Department system, which we have a login for. And in this system, we make electronic contracts between buyer and the seller.
All right. How much time does it take the whole real estate, the transaction, the procedure? Yep. So I have heard there is the contract A, B, C, contract F as well. Let's cut this out. Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
All right. So how long does it take to do the transaction done, from the contract A to contract F? What is the procedure about the time frame?
Okay. Let's say today you came to me as a seller. And you told, okay, I want to sell my apartment in Dubai that I invested several years back. So what should I do? So first, we have to sign with you the contract A. So basically, the agent of the seller is preparing contract A. The agent of the buyer, let's say there is another agent, is preparing the contract B. And then contract A and contract B is being connected all together into contract F, which we also call the MOU, which is already a final contract between the buyer and the seller. And we go to Trustee or the notary. Some people call it a notary. We call it here a Trustee office. So where we finalize the deal, the buyer is paying is given the manager check with a certain amount to the seller. So let's how does
the time frame in between my decision to get the property to sell the properties from the buyer?
Well, everything is very easy. For example, today you apply to me. You are sending me the title deed, which is a certain document being sent to you by the developer or by the Dubai Land Department, which is like a PDF document which states which apartment and where you own. Then you will send me a passport copy. I will go online to DLD system, log in there with my credentials, and I will create a contract A, which is basically a standard form automatically generated by land department. I will push a button and the contract A will be sent to you as the seller to sign it. So we can do it like within, let's say, several minutes. You will get an SMS and you will have to sign everything immediately. This is not the final contract, it's just the permission of the seller given to his broker.
The right to sell.
The right to sell. We have there, what are we having there? We have the price of the unit, we have all the details of the unit of the apartment, and we have, if there is, terms and commission. So usually, let's say it's 2% commission. So once you sign this, I have the right to promote your property. For example, I can go to any online web portal, like Property Finder, for example, or Bayut, or Dubizzle, yes?
Or the Graph Distress website.
Yes, sure. And we can go there, and I will use the information from the contract A. I will have to upload the contract A, and I can promote your property. Or maybe, if I am having already the buyer or the buyer's agent, I will ask the buyer's agent to do the same. So he will sign the contract B with his buyer. So basically, it's the same document as contract A, but with the other side. So once we sign those two documents, we will have to sign the contract F. So the contract F is the final contract between already two sides. Though, yes, you have a question?
So how I got from your side, the contract A may be signed like in several minutes.
Yes, it
All
can
right,
basically...
and the contract B is going to be like also very fast, right? So it may be potentially done very fast.
Yes.
So what about the contract F? How much does it take actually there?
So basically, to sign the contract F is you can do it the same evening, let's say. But to execute
it, yeah.
Yes, to execute the contract F, it already we usually take like 2 months.
2 months.
In some cases, we can take 3 months. But no, you can execute it also immediately. But usually we take 2 months. For what? I will explain. Because very often, maybe the buyers are not in the buyer and the seller, they both are not in the country. So they have to find the suitable time for both parties to be present at notary, trustee office.
But as I got the idea, we can finalize bank remotely. Yep. So do I can finalize the deal if I'm bank the outside of UAE, or I need to be present specifically there? Because I have heard like many cases when the seller is not present in the country, but the deal might be done.
Yeah, you can sign the POA, power of attorney, for someone, and he will present your interests at the day of the deal. But basically, what I wanted to tell you is like, why are we taking 2 months to finalize the deal?
Yeah.
For example, you are the seller. You are selling the property. So we have to get NOC, non-objection certificate, from the developer. That everything being paid for the unit, the unit is like finished constructing, no obligations, anything. So we can finalize the deal. Usually NOC, depending on the developer, from several hours to, let's say, 1 week.
Several days, yeah.
Yeah, 1 week or so. So you can close the deal as fast as you want. Maybe the next day we can meet at the trustee office and finalize the deal. But usually we take 1, 2. In some cases where we have mortgage with the bank, it takes just more time to analyze all the documents, everything. So this is usually what the process is looking like. So
yeah, perfect. And just in the case if I'm finalizing the deal remotely, bank from outside of the country, do I need to get some confirmation, like to confirm my identity? I have heard like about the video call, that sometimes there is the Zoom call to get the approval, or just the POA person can do anything behalf?
No, it's just no need for any calls. The person who represents your interest, he's already your representatives under the POA.
Can the broker be the POA, or?
No, that's the question. The broker is already the part of the deal. He cannot be the POA, so it should be someone. So basically, in my deals, it can be my assistant, for example, or it can be the representative of the person in UAE. So he can finalize.
I need to be fully trust to this person, right? So of course,
yes, for sure. if by some reason you cannot visit the deal, you cannot come here, so that's the way to finalize the deal. So everything is like very simple. So the next step, like a lot of people are asking, how will I get my money?
Yeah, that's
from the
going
deal?
to be my next question. So thank you for answering all these queries about the forms, about the time frames. So it's really beneficial for all our investors, I believe so. Yep. So what about the next step of the getting the funds there? So as soon as the deal was done, I need to get the cash for my properties, and I'm being the outside of the country. Yep. So definitely it's going to be accumulated by the POA person, right? So how does it work? Is it possible to get the beneficials in the cash, or it's just going to be credited to the bank account?
Okay, so first, we are not making money here, deals here with the cash. So the deal, according to land department and to any trustee, so on the day of the deal, you sell your property, and from the buyer, you get the manager's check. So I will explain what is a manager's check.
What is the difference between check, manager check, and all these kind of checks there?
Yes, sure. So we use checks here in UAE very often. So for our everyday life, so it's proof of that something will be paid to you. Okay. But manager check is something different. Manager check is when the buyer he comes to his bank, to his manager in the bank, and he says, "Okay, please withdraw a certain amount from my account, and let's say exchange it to a check." So the manager, he already takes the money from the person account, and those money, let's say, being transferred into the paper. So this paper is like $100 bill, you know.
So the manager check, that means the money already credited from the bank account of the buyer.
Yes, that's correct. Yes,
And the normal check is just the money wasn't credited yet. So it's just the piece of paper.
Yes, the normal check is your obligation that you will pay this money to a certain person. But the manager check, so they already took the whole amount from your bank account. You will get an SMS. So
So it's already withdrawal from the account of our buyer.
yeah, yes. It's like you already made the purchase. Okay, and then the bank manager, he checks everything. He gives the number to the check. He put a stamp, put it in the system. And while even we are making the deal, the government system and the trustee, they're checking everything, that the check is real, the numbers are there in the system. And so you cannot, for example, lose this check.
So if the normal check potentially that may be bounce check, for instance, like for the rent, we are given the normal checks, right?
Yes.
It's not the manager checks.
Yes.
Yep, but like comparable to the normal check, the manager check can never be bounced. So our salary is totally secure that 100% the check gonna to be.
Okay, I will explain to you. Okay, what is a manager check? It's like $100 bill. What happens if you lose the $100 bill? You cannot
It's gone. It's gone. Yeah, it's already
Correct.
gone.
You cannot come to the bank and tell, okay, the dollar bill number is 12333, and they will tell, okay, here is your lost $100 bill. No, it's not working like that. The same is, so the manager check is like a dollar banknote, so you cannot lose it. And then you take this manager check for, let's say, 1 million dirham. You come to your bank, you deposit it to your account. Usually we even deposit it through the bank machine. You get the check from the machine that the certain amount was deposited to your account. Everything is being double, triple checked on every stage. So this is the process how you are getting paid for your sold apartment in Dubai. So it's a bulletproof option.
All right, if I'm the seller and I'm having the bank account here in UAE, yep, so do I can to finalize the transaction just with a bank transfer without any checks, like just to give my bank account to the buyer and to ask him to transfer all the funds to my bank account there? Is it workable way, or it's anyway going to go through the manager check? What is your experience there?
In majority of the cases, 90 something percent, this is the recommendation of the DLD, and it's the manager checks. Maybe in some cases, some trustee offices can accept immediate secure payments to the bank account, but usually we deal only with the manager's checks here.
All right, which is the secure way, and it's like
So
fully transparent, yeah?
yeah, correct, exactly like this. So because in every step, everything is being checked. The money of the buyer, for example, they're being checked by managers' checks. So in trustee office, everyone is secure in this deal. That's why we're using the manager checks.
The most common questions about our audience who are watching our podcast today, what are the costs of the real estate brokers here in Dubai? How much you have to pay the seller? How much I have to pay like the buyer there in this case? And does it mandatory for the buyer to go for the payment to the broker?
Okay, according to the land department, to regulations, to everything. So the buyer's broker, he's taking his 2% for this deal from his buyer. This is officially been written in the contract B.
So at least like 2% must be paid from any buyer in this real estate market. What about the seller? Like the seller needs to be paid also like 2%, or it can be avoided like it's some sort of case.
So usually how it's being said, the seller is not paying any commission. So the buyer is covering those 2%. But we have different cases. And for example, let's say there is just one agent. Okay, in this situation, okay, it's just 2%. But what to do if we are having two agents? So there's
even like the 2, 3, 4, 5, I doesn't care. Like I put myself in the position. I'm handling the table. I have the properties in Royal Atlantis, for instance, and they have the unit for sale. Like 20, 30 agents, they're bombarding my WhatsApp every week. Yep, for instance, they're all going to get my properties for the listing to sell it out. But I'm like the seller. I'm not interested to pay, like in this case, so how does it work? Does it mandatory for the seller to cut like 2% of the cost of the properties, or like it may be paid and covered only by the buyers?
Okay, it's not mandatory, but I would say in majority of the deals, the sellers, they are paying to their agents the same 2%. So in order to get the agent interested, in order to get him market and promote his property on different platforms, so he does a lot of work for that. So let's say it's very common in all the situations. So the buyer is paying 2% to his agent, the seller is paying 2% to his agent
as well.
So that's how the deal is working.
Clear. What about the cost for the trustee office?
So the fees are not big at all. Let's say trustee office is taking like around 5,000 depending on the trustee dirham, which is being paid by the buyer. But what is being paid by the seller is like around 4,000 or 5,000, just depending on developer, is the NOC, the one we discussed before that. So it's non-objection certificate from the developer. So this is being paid by the seller. So the seller is paying the NOC, the buyer is paying those trustee office fees, plus there will be some fees like around 580 dirhams being paid for the issuance of the new title deed, which is also being paid by the buyer. So I would say these are all the fees.
And in this case, we are going to the deal together at the specific day. And I need to prepare the separate check to cover the cost of this trustee office, or it may be paid from the credit card directly on the terminal in the trustee office as well.
Yes, correct. Either this or that. So you can pay directly fees by your credit card, by banking card in the trustee office. Yes.
So as I got the idea, I just can enter the office and with a cash or with my credit card, I can just put the finance of the trustee office fees. So that's pretty simple.
Yes, that's
correct.
No
need to prepare the manager check specific for that one.
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. So from your words, it's like super easy. But again, you need to have the trusted licensed real estate broker, because even the broker without the licensed RERA card, he cannot finalize the transaction by any means, right?
Yes, correct. As I told you, the market is very much regulated. All brokers, they are licensed. No broker with any without license, no one can close the deal, because we have to have the access to buy land department system Trustee have to have the access to the byland department system.
All right, so the next query is about the transfer of the right of the ownership. Yep. So how does it work in reality? Like when we are talking about transferring the right, which day exactly it's going to be transferred in the system, and what about the title deed? Like after we went out the trustee office, do I have the right of the ownership immediate after the transaction, or how it's going to be organized?
Yes, correct. Because the trustee office is the same licensed part of the deal, for sure, they have even the access to the Dubizzle department system. So when you are finalizing the deal with contract F and the buyer and the seller meets at the trustee notary office, immediately one is getting all the amount paid to his bank account via the manager's check, and another, the buyer, the property is being registered on his name immediately at trustee's office, and he's getting the new title deed immediately. So the next couple minutes he steps out of the office, he is the 100%
real owner, yeah, the real
that's
owner of the properties. Okay,
everything pretty straightforward, very easy.
and immediately I can open the Dubai Rest app or like the Dubai Land Department portal and to get out to download my title deed, right? Is it going to be immediate, or we need to wait for some time to generate it in the system? Like how does it work?
Maybe it will take some time, but it should be ready straight away. But also you will have the printed title deed by the trustee already.
Wow, so I'm just stepping out and immediately in the pocket I have the title deed there.
Yes, just the deal will happen just in a matter of, I would say, half an hour. Maybe.
Half an hour. Wow.
Maybe.
Wow, that sounds extremely great. All right. And just one more question about like in between we step on the trustee office. Like I wanted to be totally sure that deal going to be happen. So what about the amount of, of the interest, whether my guarantee that after signing of the contract F, the deal going to be happen? Does the buyer actually need to pay something extra before the deal starts in the trustee office? How does it work?
Oh, okay, I will explain it to you. Yes, that's the very crucial part. Yes, and when the buyer says to the seller, "Okay, I'm ready to buy your property, sign all the contracts, let's go," the seller and the seller's agent, they are asking, "Please provide us the proof." And that's where the buyer is making another check, the 10% check. It acts as a guarantee that he will proceed with the deal. So this 10% check, it is not going somewhere to account or anywhere. Some part of the deal, it is the agent of the seller or the agent of the buyer, which is being written in the MOU, in the contract. They're being the part who is held in their hands for all the time of the deal, that check. And if anything goes wrong, for example, buyer will say, "Okay, I changed my mind. I don't want to buy this apartment any longer." But for example, we were waiting for this deal to happen for 2 months, and suddenly he tells this. So this is the warranty for the seller. Those 2% will go to 10%. I'm sorry, they will go to the seller. So once we sign the contract F, the deal should be finalized after that.
But what the guarantees like from the seller side? For instance, if the buyer he put his the check for 10%, he broke his duties, and for instance he stepped out from the deal. In this case, he lost this 10%. What about the seller? Like in case if the buyer is waiting for the transaction need to be happen, and actually the seller is stopping the transaction on hold. So what the responsibilities for the seller side in this way?
So in this case, buyer, he can also create a claim to land department. He can go to court, and he also can take 10% for his losses because he was also waiting. They signed official contract, and if something like a force majeure haven't happened, so the seller have to compensate the buyer. So usually this happens very rare. I never even had a case like that.
That's my question. Like how many cases, based on your experience, you are quite long period of time on the market. Yep. So I know you're more than 5 years here in Dubai and this field. So like, of all your portfolio cases, like, did you have ever before like the buyer got this actually 10% from the seller, or how it operates?
I never had a single deal like that. Maybe because I was always preparing both sides, and I very much analyzed. I was not trying to sell something to the person that
No, but that's not something like, in your point of control. You can be analyzed 100%, but that's something that's fully independent from you. This is the seller. You cannot control his mind, his intentions. And in this case, so just for our audience and our investors, the realtors who are watching this podcast, so how it's going to be, what the responsibility the seller is like practically he has in front of the buyer. I have heard, like, for instance, about the limitations for the operations in the Dubai Land department with its properties in the future. For instance, like he had a certain amount of time, he cannot like to rent it out, a certain amount, he's blocked in the Dubai Land department system, he cannot sell this properties. So can you clarify something about this?
For sure, if there will be a claim, something can happen with the property, something can be blocked by land department. So, but it's quite a long process. But anyway, you always have to work only with the Dubai Land Department registered agent with the RERA card.
Yeah.
Okay, all my sellers, they are my sellers. I know those clients for a very long period of time. I'm always sure in them. To whom I sell, in the majority of cases, I sell to the brokers and to the buyers, whom I also know. I'm alone on the market. I have a lot of colleagues from different companies, and usually that's the deal. We find each other pretty fast on the market, or maybe it's a colleague of another broker from another company. So everything is usually very clear on the market. One professional working with another professional, discussing with their buyer and the seller all the details. No one wants to get in the situation. Even in some cases, for example, what I have had already is like maybe we took 2-3 months for the deal, and the contract is expiring. So both parties they sign another contract. So they're extending it. Yes, not signing another, extending the existing one. Yeah, but we have to sign it like a new one. So we're extending that period. So it's quite normal. Okay, let's extend 1 month. I'm sorry, it was mortgage. It took a bit more time because mortgage really is taking a lot of time for the bank to approve everything, to check everything, NOCs, and so it can happen. But I never had a single deal which been canceled.
All right. So pretty much clear. Yep. So what about the case, like for instance, if the buyer changed his mind, but he already put the check for 10%. Like, is there any case like how he gonna to avoid the loss of this 10% if it's already paid on the contract? Like the check is already there.
Well, the check is already there, and now it depends who of the sides didn't arrive in the final day to the trustee office. For example, the contract expires on the 10th of May. So by the end of 10th of May, if one party didn't arrive to the trustee office and they had no correspondence about why and what is happening, so another party can file a claim that the party didn't arrive, but they signed the contract. And the broker of this party, he will request the check to be deposited. It should be claimed through the land department. They will investigate everything, and that's how it happens. It's not that easy, but it's pretty straightforward way. So when I'm saying it's not easy, it doesn't mean that the broker will take the check and will go to the bank and together with the seller, they will just deposit the check. It's not like that. But there is a certain way and a certain process.
But the check which was already given from the buyer, it's going to be the manager check, or it can be like the normal check. What about this 10%?
No, it's always just a regular check.
Just a regular check.
Yes, but there is obligation in the UAE. If the check bounces, it should be there should be a penalty. Then there should be problems with the person who gave them, and he's not having those amounts in bank account. He will have problems in the future with taking mortgages, loans, and anything.
Clear. And so the cash is not allowed. Like for this 10%, it's only applicable for the check. We cannot put this deposit like via the cash.
No. We are not using here cash in Dubai.
So for all our audience, we are using extremely the transparent way of financial communication. So only the manager check or the normal check here as well. So no cash in the transaction. You cannot get the check in your for your interest. You cannot sell your properties via the cash. So it's all going to go through the manager check.
Yes, correct. I hope I managed to answer all of your questions today. How the deal is going on, the secondary deal in Dubai, what is contract A, contract B, contract F, how the deal is being finalized. I hope that if some of our subscribers, they will find any other questions, please ask them in the comments or write to our Instagram, either to mine or to David's account. Yeah,
so we are fully transparent, we are fully professional to get your support 24/7 for your successful investment here in Dubai.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Alex. It was a pleasure to talk with you. Extremely deep knowledge on the real estate market. I believe it's going to be fully beneficial for all our audience who are watching the podcast here today.
Okay. See you on the next podcast session.
Yeah,
Take care.
Most welcome. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.